Well, good afternoon. This is Andy Dowell, principal here at North High School, and I'd like to provide some students some information about back to school update. This is very pertinent to upperclassmen along with to parents. The last few days we've been meeting with our freshmen and giving them information about things that they need to know. And again, now it's important that we let you know as well. Levels of reopening. This would share with you that in the middle of July, Governor Burgum gave permission to schools to have a reentry plan. And so feverishly during the month of July, a plan was developed. It was approved by the board in late July. And during the last couple of weeks, there's been lots of meetings with regards to how we implement the plan. And I would just share with you that there are 5 levels of reopening. Fargo Public Schools has determined that we'll be in the hybrid model or level 3. And I'm going to share a little more information, but you'll see this icon or this descriptor up here, the odometer, that will describe the level. And currently we're in level yellow or moderate stage or hybrid stage. Just be aware that at times we can move to any one of those different levels based on the transmissions of the COVID-19 virus. And we could be moving up or down based on what that might look like. And in fact, even some schools, middle, high school, or elementaries could be at different levels. We also offered an option for the virtual academy. The deadline has passed to sign up for that, but we had over 100 students that have selected that as an option. The Instructional Committee meets every other Monday, and so they met on August 10th, and they at that time defined our reentry plan as to be level 3 for all 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high school. So we're going to be opening school on September 2nd or September 3rd, depending on your last name. The requirement in level 3 is mandatory masks, so make sure that you have a mask. One will also be provided to you, but we'd encourage you to have your own as well. We've reduced the number of students in the building at any one time, so there would be no more than 50% of our capacity. And that's to create that social distance that will help reduce the spread of the coronavirus. And of course, we're doing additional cleaning and sanitizing, disinfecting, so that it's even safer here at North High. So it begins with Wednesday pickup for upperclassmen, so sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Wednesday, August 19th, we'd ask that you stop into the building here and get some of these things taken care of, which would include picking up your PLD, also getting your ID card or photo printed. And for seniors, we'll also give you an ID card. We won't be photographing you. But again, you can see the alphabet group and the breakdown, and that's so that we have only 8 to 10 people in the building at any one time or thereabouts. And so take a look at that list, find your name in between the 2 names that are there, and identify that time. So please arrive on time. You don't need to be early, just arrive on time. And it shouldn't take you more than probably 10 to 15 minutes to get your stuff taken care of. So here's the first group, Wednesday, August 19th in the morning, from Ockree all the way down to, looks like Fulden. And if I go to the next page here, again, Wednesday starting at 11:30 as well, Forrester all the way down to Cavera. And so that's on Wednesday. So again, find your name, identify the time that's associated with your deal, and please come in and get that stuff taken care of. Also on Thursday, August 20th of this week, we have this alphabet group coming in, so anything after the L's there. So find your name, identify the time, and then the last group on Thursday, August 20th, all the way down to Zozel. So please find your name and come in during that time. Now, if there's some extenuating circumstances, would not object to you just coming in when it's convenient for you, but this is to spread out so that we can keep social distance here. Again, a reminder that the masks are required. So let's talk about level 3. This is where we have 50% capacity. So about half our students will be coming in. So we'll begin this hybrid schedule on Wednesday, September 2nd or Thursday, September 3rd, depending on your last name. If you're a student who has a last name of A through K, you'll meet on Monday and Tuesdays and some Wednesdays during the month of September. In fact, during the month of September, you have them all except for the 23rd. Whereas if your name is L through Z, your Thursdays and Fridays and only one Wednesday in September. Again, each group has the same number of days totally. The reason why it looks a little bit different instead of just alternating is because we don't have school on the 1st, we don't have school on Labor Day. If we are still in an 8-period day, so it does not look like what it did last spring, but instead we have a schedule where you're on campus 2 to 3 days a week and the different alphabet groups. Next screen is thinking about how do students plan for this type of schedule. Again, I use that same color codes. The reds for the A through K kids and the L through Z students are the yellow. Again, this day 7 is really September 23rd. So what I would share with you is that there will be some assignments during the time when you're not on campus. So it's not like you just have a 2 or 3 day week, but instead you have a full week of school. There will be some things that will be expected for you to do during the time when you're not on campus. On the next screen, I'll share that information with you in terms of what the daily planner, I'll be working with teachers here next week, but the daily planner will have 2 areas for the course. Let's say it's English 3. Of course, next on Monday and Tuesday, August 31st and September 1st, there's teacher professional development. But then we have school starting with Wednesday, September 2nd. So it'll be a normal first day for everybody. But on Thursday and Friday, the A group is not here and they might be given an assignment. So I just made up some of these different ideas with regards to things that might happen. It might be a Zoom link that you're expected to log into and to be connected to the classroom. It might be review a lesson. Maybe it's a con lesson on supply and demand, or it might be reading an article or reading some pages in your novel, or it might be a flipped classroom lesson on some topic that you're covering. It might be doing the odds or maybe a couple of different sections in math, for example. And those might be described on both days as being the same, but again, it would be something for you to do during the time when you're not here. Conversely, the L through Z group, of course, you're not meeting on the first day. There won't be anything for you to do there, but then you'll do that first day type of stuff, which is usually getting the course syllabus, laying out the expectations, et cetera, whatever might happen. And then you might do a lesson in class. And then the following week on that Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday when you're gone, there'll be an expectation for you to log into Daily Planner, see what you're supposed to be doing, and get the work completed during the time when you're at home. So think about that as real helpful too is the EDUcal, that daily planner, and to get comfortable with doing stuff on the time when you're not here on campus. Okay, the next thing I just share with you is we've altered the bell schedule during level 3. You'll notice the first thing is that period 8 ends at 2:43. So that's one thing to note. And that period 1 every day starts at 8:45. So we won't have any late start Wednesdays, but instead we have 8:45 starts every day. So the first thing I would just share with you is that the changes is that we have help sessions for students before and after school. Up here in the yellow area here, I've labeled it as target intervention. Actually, this just got changed today. It's actually Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, Fridays. We'll talk more about that at another time. But there will be a chance to get help from your teachers from 8 o'clock to 8:35. We also call it enrichment, so that if you're really interested in getting an art project done or something that's happening in another curricular area, you can also go to those areas and get that work completed. I think this can be really, really helpful for the people who have activities that are gone for portions of the day and come in, make up a test, make up a quiz. You know your teachers are going to be available. We find that's going to be helpful. It's also going to occur after school. So after 2:43, so from 2:45 really to 3:45, teachers would be available as well. Note the length of class periods is 38 minutes. So that's been reduced. Again, that's so that we can get done at 2:43. The passing time has been reduced from 5 minutes to 4 minutes. But now again, remember that we have 50% capacity in our buildings. So that's been should be a little bit easier to move about the rooms. So passing time, and it'll be actually the same passing times that students had at Ben Franklin. Period 8 will end, as I mentioned there, at 2:43. And again, most teachers will be available after school. What is the same is that we're still in an 8-period day, and we still have lunch lengths, which are the same. I also listed teacher building hours for our teachers. I guess that's not important to you, but they are here actually a little bit earlier than 8 o'clock. What's scheduled now, although this could change, is beginning Monday, October 5th. So the first Monday in October, we are going online. And so we'll be distance learning, and we'll be alternating the days. One day it'll be the odd periods, 1, 3, 5, and 7, like it was last spring. And then the next day will be 2, 4, 6, 8. Then it'll just rotate. So if this begins on Monday, then this would be a Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, there would be a 1, 3, 5, 7. On B day, which would be Thursday, would be 2, 4, 6, 8. And then on Friday, it comes back to 1, 3, 5, 7. We would have school 5 days a week. But again, this is potentially beginning on Monday, October 5th. In our hybrid model, this has us starting that way. Again, teacher prep hour is after school, along with the intervention and enrichment is before school, 8:15 to 8:45. I wouldn't worry about that at this time because it's not till October. And as I've been accustomed to, things will change. Okay, so let's talk about attendance here, first of all. Well, students and parents need to complete a daily monitoring. You really got to be checking your own health and be monitoring for COVID-like symptoms. I've highlighted 2 of them in red. If you have a fever or if you have a new loss of taste or smell, it's important that you stay home and get checked out by your doctor. You can't come to school. It's too potential for spreading of the virus. Or if you have chills or shaking chills, make sure you're not coming to school and get checked out by a physician. These other categories like cough or difficulty of breathing, sore throat, headache, muscle aches, of course, if you're sick, fatigue, nasal congestion, if you have those in combinations with maybe 2 or 3 of those categories, you probably should be staying home. If you've, of course, ever been exposed to somebody, you need to stay home. But again, we need you to monitor your health. Again, you're high school age students, and so you can probably do some of that yourself, but it'd be really helpful to be able to assure us that you're coming to school healthy. If you're not, please stay home. So I would just share too that the arrival time and busing has changed for the new schedule. The arrival time is students will arrive no more than 15 minutes before their first class, or if they're coming in for that intervention or enrichment period. So if you have a 8:45 class, don't arrive too much earlier than 8:45. You're permitted, of course, to be here by 8:30. Students and staff, as you come into the building, will be wearing masks. You'll also be wearing them on the bus. So that'll be during that time. And again, that's the single most thing that can help prevent the spread of the virus. Students will even be assigned on the bus. I believe you'll be able to select your own seat, but then you'll want to make sure that you're always in that location. And that's needed so that if there is a positive case on for somebody that's ridden the bus, that we're able to contact the people who might also be exposed to that. Students, when you arrive to school here, you can pick up your grab-and-go breakfast, if you're interested in that. Students then will go to the classroom to eat your breakfast. So we aren't using the commons tables during the breakfast portion of the day, but instead you'll have your breakfast in your classroom. So the commons will not be available before school. So that's a little bit different than, of course, what we've done before. Again, restriction is no more than 15 minutes before your first class or your intervention or enrichment period. Okay, so the other question that we always have is how do we help reduce the number of students? Well, of course, we offered a virtual option for students, and we had over 100 students select that option. Students who did select that option are taking courses through the North Dakota Center for Distance Education, 2 classes at a time. We're going to be using some classrooms for lunch. We're using some of the classrooms in the 300 areas, the 500 classroom areas, and also the 800 classroom areas. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Teachers will not be the supervisors, but we will have paraeducators there. And we'll allow, as I mentioned earlier, breakfast to be eaten in the classroom before class begins period 1. Also in the building, we have some additional safety precautions. We do have some one-way traffic flows, really around the blue and the tan locker areas. We ask that people go on each side in the same direction. We are not going to be using lockers, at least to begin the year. In fact, I was thinking about this a couple days ago, and really what I'm thinking about it is when I went off to college, I had a backpack, I put it on my shoulder and went to class. And that's kind of what we're doing here too, is that we're going to actually, it'll feel like you're going to college because you'll have your stuff in your backpack, and you'll take your backpack with you to classrooms, also to your PE activity. I did take a note here, and this would be also important for underclassmen. United Way is distributing backpacks. So if you don't have one, and can't afford one, at Thursday from 8 to 9 a.m., they are distributing backpacks near door 30, which is on the south side of our building. So we'd encourage you to make sure that you have a backpack to begin the year. Also, students are encouraged to bring water bottles. That'll help us in terms of not spreading the virus. Those bubblers, the things that we push to get the water to come out of the fountain, will be turned off. The water bottle dispensers will still be available. Of course, classroom desks will be spaced out and all facing that same direction. That even happens in the music area. And of course, we'll have assigned seating. And then we ask that students stay socially distant at school, also on the bus. But if you're not doing that in your personal life, I'm not sure how much success we'll have in staying on campus here. So we need you to even do it in your personal life, is to stay socially distant from your friends. That doesn't mean you can't be with them, just be 6 feet or further away, wear your mask, and we're more likely to remain in and on campus for a portion of the year, if not the whole year. Also, we have some additional safety precautions for lunch. School lunches to begin the year will be hot lunch only, so you won't have the a la carte options, you won't have the salad bar, but instead we'll have 2 lunch lines. So both lines will be the same, so it doesn't matter which line you're in. Both will be serving that hot lunch. Students will be able to choose from 1 of 2 entrees and then 2 or 3 sides, depending on what day it is. You won't be using the keypad as you have in past years, but you'll share your ID number with the cashier. We're also looking at trying to get a scan card so that you could put your, the back of your card has an ID code that you could scan under there. Students are assigned a location for lunch. I'll show something on the next screen, but you could be in the commons or it could be in the classroom. And students will be spread out in the commons. Some of those table seats will be X'd off. And students, you'll still be able to select your location or select your spot for lunch. You can't select your location, but you will select your spot, and that should work out okay. Note the location for lunch on your schedule. So when you get your schedule this week, just threw up a person's sample schedule. This person has lunch 4A. Okay, so you can see a schedule here, and then over here it says 513. And so this individual will be in room 513 for lunch during the semester 1. Coincidentally, they also have 2 additional classes in a row in that area. So, and again, that'll happen for the people who are having lunches in classrooms. It'll be identical to the room that you're following into. So that's the information. We ask for your cooperation on that. I want to share some information if a student or a staff member tests positive. I think this is really pretty critical that we follow this protocol. If a person tests positive, so a healthcare provider has taken a test and you have been determined to be positive, you need to remain at home for at least 10 days. And also until at least 24 hours have passed with no fever and at least an improvement in your other symptoms. But you will be like quarantined at home for 10 days from the date of the test or the date of the symptoms. Monitor those symptoms, stay in contact with your healthcare provider, especially important if it gets worse. I also ask parents, students to notify the school that you've been exposed and that you have the virus. That will help us with regards to the job that we need to do and try to keep your fellow students and staff safe. You will get a call from the North Dakota Department of Health or Cass County Health Department regarding the contact tracing to help identify those close contacts to prevent further transmission. And Cass County Public Health will then make the phone calls. But we really need to emphasize that you need to give us the information. I am supposed to get a call from North Dakota Department of Health or Cass County on every positive case. I had a positive case last week of a student, and I still haven't received the phone call. I had one earlier this week, still haven't received the phone call. So I believe our best answer is that parents, students, you need to notify me as a building administrator, and then we'll make sure that we communicate appropriately to the people that need to know. So again, thanks for your cooperation. Again, that's if a student or staff member tests positive. The next screen is if a student or staff member is a close contact. And here's the definition that the CDC and also Cass County Public Health is using. A close contact is within 6 feet for a cumulative time of 15 minutes during the last 24 hours. So if you're hanging out with a friend who got the virus, you don't have any symptoms, you'll need to stay home for 14 days in self-quarantine. Again, we ask that you notify the school. If you're a close contact, again, within 6 feet for a cumulative time of 15 minutes or more for the last 24 hours, and you're in contact with somebody else, they are not needing to quarantine. It's only the people who have been in direct contact with the person who has been positive. Again, we ask that you notify the school, and we will then go from there. You'll still be allowed to make up all your work and those types of things, and we'll somehow have to figure out how we're going to help you process through the educational part of that time in quarantine. There are lots of good things and resources out on our Fargo Public Schools website. This is one of the areas, a link here, I'll be sending this out later, but it gives good information about school safety measures, the masks, of course, the one-to-one initiative that we have, student activities. They're updating that pretty regularly, and a very good resource for anybody that might have some questions. Finishing up here, and the next and last part here is how to be successful. You know, we've been so fortunate that we've had outstanding students, great work ethic, kids are doing what they expected to be doing. But also during the transition last spring to now, we got to get back into a routine. Routines are really helpful. And when we have routines, we're just more productive. So the first thing that we're going to emphasize to you is to get up and eat breakfast. It's important to have some nutrition in your body as you begin the day. And again, make sure that you're drinking lots of fluids. Make healthy choices, which also means get good sleep. You know, get out and do some walking and so forth. If you're not on campus some days, you know, get up, get going, take out the dog for the walk, get out, get some exercise. Those are just good routines to have a good lifestyle. As we mentioned earlier, bring your water bottles to school. Those bubblers will be turned off. Also, on those days when you're at home, or if we're in October and we're at home on distance learning, you need to create that distraction-free learning space. Last year, we had a lot of kids that were in their beds, actually, maybe just barely have gotten up and so forth, but find a location that's quiet and distraction-free. Sit at a table and at a desk when completing your homework and participating in that virtual learning. And then be responsible for your education. Be sure you're asking questions for your teachers, utilizing that intervention period that we talked about earlier, using the office hours after school time. Use PowerSchool. Obviously, you can see your grades there, but also embedded within PowerSchool is EDUcal, which is that daily planner. You're going to need to get comfortable with using that all the time. One of our emphasis is to check your school mail daily, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Maybe that's not your cup of tea with regards to how you normally communicate. You're probably using Snapchat or Twitter, some other account, TikTok. And so again, check your school email on a frequent basis because a lot of information is shared that way. And then reach out to your family if things aren't going well, your teachers, your counselors, your administrators. Again, we're all here to help and support. So just feel free to reach out and we'll see if we can provide some help to you. So again, welcome back. We're excited that we're at least going to get to start the year in a face-to-face fashion. We got some activities that are starting. Actually, I think we got our first soccer game tonight. Again, hope that you can come back and be excited for this school year. So thanks. I'm going to end this and have a great day. See you tomorrow, hopefully.